melanated beings around the world. This is Dr. Shon. Let me check my volume before I start diving into our Theory of Knowledge course. Give me just a second. Because sometimes I go live and it's like double. And we don't want that. So come in, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Let me know how y'all doing today. What is going on with my live? And we don't want to record a whole live with the voice doubled. I can't hear nothing. Dang, can y'all hear me? Oh, man. Let me see. Can you? Hello? Can you? Oh. Hello? Yes, you can hear me. So you can hear me. So welcome to the live. This is going to be basically like a course, and we're going to discuss the word Injun. And I'm sipping on a 100% juice apple mango. Get you a drink because we about to dive in. All right. How y'all feeling today, my Niiji? How are my beautiful copper tone people today? If you did not wake up with positive energy, an unapologetic mindset, determination to continue growing and knowing who you are, then I need you to, get yourself, into the mindset where you know who you are. And part of that is what we're going to be discussing today. Today's topic is the word Injun. Now, I was just watching a cartoon, right? I just started watching this cartoon, and I'm going to tell you what the cartoon is in a minute. Well, I've always watched this cartoon, but never from the eyes of a woke person or a person who knows who they are, and a person who knows how YT people or the government uses names and changes things and does paper genocide and, does so many things to make you have amnesia about who you are, right? So since I've been waking up, this has been like since Thanksgiving time, because I said, I'm saying I'm woke and I'm hearing all of this new information, but I had to go do my own research. So this past Thanksgiving, I did my research. I stopped celebrating Thanksgiving. Same thing for Christmas. So that made me start watching things on TV differently. That made me begin to discern the things that I'm putting into my mind and the things that I'm learning, because I've realized that I was taught a bunch of lies. And there's a lot of people out there who are probably just like me, came from the deep south, came from the Christian background, came from just being so religious and not really knowing the truth. I was that person. I was that girl. So I'm very familiar with that whole setup and how it worked. But this cartoon, I started watching in more detail since I woke up in November. Like, I thought I was woke, but I truly woke up once I read The True Meaning of Thanksgiving, which you can find in another video. And I will link that video to this once this is uploaded. But I'm going to show you what it is. So that's why you're going to see why we are investigating the word Injun, because that word really means something. And it's a word that they're trying to erase out of history, just like the word Indian, which is basically the same meaning, but over the years has gotten changed. So we're not going to even prolong the time on this theory of knowledge class, but grab you something to drink. If you're watching this on the replay, because I'm about to put all this together in a way that I hope opens people's eyes, so that you can watch these shows like me with a whole new mindset. Like, oh my goodness, I can't believe they just said that, because they tell a lot of truth in the cartoons. And I'm not going to play the cartoons. I'm just going to show you the image and what they said, and then you can kind of go find it for yourself. All right. So let's go to our course. So this is Dr. Shon's theory of knowledge. What is an engine? Let's dive in, guys. So what is an engine? So I was just watching this cartoon right here. We all know who this character is. We all know who this character is. This is Bart, the Bart Simpson, okay, from The Simpsons. And in this scene, it was the beginning of the scene. Their grandpa, he felt like he was getting ready to die. And he was like, I want to give you all some inheritance before I pass away. So he had this little box of silver coins that he got from Havana, which was where Indians were, or Injuns were, and he gave it to them, and they said they got to go and spend it. And while he was doing this, he was just telling this story about when he was growing up and what they did, and oh my goodness. Since I woke up and I was watching it, I have to stop and screenshot it because it's just like, I can't believe they said that, but it's more than this. So this is just to get you to see why this topic is so important for me to digest and for me to understand and for us to go into life from the moment that you realize who you are with a whole new mindset, a whole new vision, and a whole new understanding, so that way you can continue to wake up and know what you are watching. Because a lot of these things, like they don't beat you with the whip. They don't. Well, they still do physical violence, but what I'm trying to say is not as, I don't know, I can't say it's not as aggressive. It is, but it's just different times. So let's talk about this cartoon. So in this first scene, it says the grandpa was telling them while they were walking in the mall. He said he was telling them about Thanksgiving. He said, we always have walking bird on Thanksgiving. And y'all already know I don't do Thanksgiving. Okay? Because it was a massacre of us, the Indians. Okay? So he said, we'd always have walking bird on Thanksgiving. And then he said, with all the trimmings. And they didn't want to listen to him. That's why everybody's eyes is like, ugh. Because he was just talking from the time he was at home to the time they was in the car to the time they got to the store to spend the coins, which is what Homer is carrying, these coins. Even the baby got a little attitude. The baby has attitude. Then he says, okay, let's go back. He said, we'd always have walking bird on Thanksgiving with all the trimmings. Cranberries, Injun Eyes. And that caught my eye. I was like, Injun Eyes? No way. So he's saying they always have walking bird, which is turkey, which you know that's from Thanksgiving, with cranberries. So people know about cranberry sauce on Thanksgiving, and Injun Eyes. Injun Eyes. What is an Injun eye, guys? Engine. So that's the word that we're looking for. What type of eyes? Injun Eyes. When I saw this scene from a regular, me a year ago would have just watched it and not knowing what he was talking about. Me, since Thanksgiving and being in this awakened state, this Niiji mindset, I was like, what the fuck? Injun Eyes. So he had a walking bird with cranberries, all the fixings, and Injun Eyes. Yam stuffed with gunpowder. So what is an Injun eye? Let's get into it. All right. So an Injun eye, these are Injun babies. So basically, Indian eyes they would put on a turkey, because you got to think, back in the day when I did my research on Thanksgiving, which I'm still going to continue to do, I discovered that they would kill all the people in the village who look like us and then slaughter them, use their skin for dressing their wounds, eat them. Like he said, Injun eyes. They would even eat the eyes. So these are Injun babies. So if you never heard of this word, now that you know this word, when you see this word, you'll know that it means Indian. And if you thought that Indian meant like this color skin, it's actually this color skin. And I can't wait to do my melanin theory of knowledge course, because that's going to blow your motherfucking mind. All right. So these are Injun babies. Okay. Melanated, copper tone. Let's see what they said about these Injun babies. So somebody said, let me get my stuff together. Don't mind me with this app that we're using because I'm still growing, but I learned a lot and I know how to teach on here now. So that's very important. So let's move this over. So somebody said about this picture. They said Indian, a derivative nickname intentionally used as a form of classism describing Aboriginal people of Turtle Island. Think about it. Injun. You can spell it this way or this way. Ingenious, indigenous, engineer. Somebody said they love it. I didn't love that they was eating the Injun Eyes, but this is what Injun means. These are Injun babies, and as you can see, it says Indian is a derivative nickname intentionally used as a form of classism describing the indigenous, aboriginal, ingenious people, the engineers of Turtle Island. So when you see Injun, it just means Indian, and when you see Indian, they look like this. Got it? Any questions, put it in the chat box. Please don't be afraid to ask questions. This is a course, but I'm definitely here to ask questions. I'm still waking up though, so I might not know the answer, but we can always Google it. All right, so we know what Injun is, right? They was talking about these Injun babies. They got their bow and arrow, melanated. But let's keep going. We're going to look at another comment. So this next comment, this is a picture from Pinterest, and it was just showing all the melanated people here who invented all of the things that we use today. And I always wonder, you know, with Native Americans or Pretendians who are pretending to be indigenous people, they never really have any inventions. Like the melanated people here who we call now black, and we'll get into that later too. They're the ones who created these things. The lantern, because they needed light. The lawn sprinkler. Lemon squeezer. The lock. Lubricating cup. Lunch pal. The mailbox. We use that every day. A mop. How you gonna clean up your house without a mop? Peanut butter. I love peanut butter on my smoothie bowls. The pencil sharpener. Record player arm, rolling pin, shampoo headrest. Now that's genius. To my ladies out there, the spark plug, the stethoscope, straightening comb, street sweeper, all of that, you name it. And then somebody put a comment down here. They said, in Choctaw we have words for ethnicity. Y'all come on home. Hatak Lusa is African American. Nahulo is Caucasian. Stop identifying as a color and go trace y'all roots. So they're saying that in Choctaw, which is part of my tribe, I'm partial Choctaw, Muskogee, and Appalachia, Creek, all of that. They say Hatak Lusa means African American. Hatak Lusa. Then they say Nahulo is Caucasian. Wow, I didn't know that. And it says, stop identifying as a color, go trace your roots. We are Injuns. You see this word again? It's popping up, Injuns. So it is not just me who know. I'm finding this word all over. And once you are in the know, and once you are, part of that Niiji tribe, that whole Turtle Island that is waking up right now, sharing this information. Each one teach one. You have to go and study this every day because it's so much. I could see if it was like, oh, well, we been reclassified. We're the true Indians, and we were just saying this, but everywhere you go to look, everything aligns. And that's what really shocked me once I started doing the research, because I have my fiance who has been trying to tell me, but it doesn't hit it until you read it for yourself and you start to learn it for yourself. So here they're saying we Injuns, aka Niiji from Turtle Island. So when you hear me saying Niiji, that's just the terminology that we say to mean like brotherhood or what's up, my Niiji, or in Injuns. That's another word that is being used. So they changed our names so many times. Injuns, Indians. We don't get into the name change, but you got to make it make sense. These all people who supposed to be slaves, but inventing things in the 1800s. You know, Madam C.J. Walker. Y'all don't know her. These are not African Americans. These are Niiji. These are Injuns. Because where's the list of Native Americans who did this stuff? If y'all been here, not, I mean, the government did it, but where is the list? Like, we need some respect on our name. Like, seriously. Let's keep going. So, y'all see that. So, that's another example of that word engine. All right. So now we're going to dive into when I went to the Google and I typed it in. AI on Google now is top notch. The AI doesn't really discriminate too bad, but if you put it in like the computer, it doesn't really tell you. But the AI kind of gives you a breakdown, and you still have to go and find documents. But when I put in the word engine, it said engine is an offensive term that is outdated mispronunciation of the word Indian. It was originally used in the 17th century to mock or impersonate the supposed heavy accents of Native Americans. You know, those are the pretendians. What they mean is this is actually a Native American, but we already know what they call. So Selena said the hijack that's going on. This is a hijack, identity theft. So this is a Native American. They have American in their name. American was not our name. And the early settlers, for example, the term honest engine or engine time are examples of this, but they were really talking about us. Well, let's keep going, because you see, this is a whitewash picture, and a lot of people get confused with the whitewash pictures, just like me when I was a little kid growing up in Tallahassee, aka Tallahassee, aka Cherokee, Seminole, all of that. This is the pictures that they taught to us as little kids to kind of give us amnesia about who we are, to kind of trick us out our spot, and to kind of steal our identity. And it's just so crazy how they did that. So you see this, you thinking, dang, this person don't even look like me. That can't be nothing related to me. So when you're learning this, you don't even connect the dots. You don't even see 1 and 2. You don't even connect the dots because it's in your books, and you're thinking as a child, my parents are sending me to school to learn. This stuff must be true. Man, we were slaves, and those were the real Indians who look more like Mongolians and Siberians, and we came from Africa. We don't know where, but we just came from Africa. And they just really, really hone in on this because you see, they were doing atrocious things to us. Okay? We're not getting into what happened when they pulled up on the coast because that's in other videos. This video, I'm really trying to stay on this word engine. Because when I saw that on The Simpsons, it really I couldn't believe that they were eating Injun eyes. Injun eyes now. Not these people eyes. You seen what the Injun babies look like. Injun eyes, guys. Injun eyes. All right. So let's see how they did this hijacking. All right. So this is a book. It's called Adairs History of American Indians. Right. So in this book, it's supposed to have the history of the true American Indians. But you see this picture here. Excuse me. This is whitey skin. This is pale skin. This is not the true Indians. But one thing for me, I'm always paying attention to the smallest details because you gotta pay attention to the hijack, as we call it in the Niiji. We know what hijack look like. So, but you gotta pay attention, guys. So you see the price of this book, the fake book. This is later version of the book. This book is $200 and something. That's still expensive. When I was in college, and I've been in college a lot, the books were this type of price for biology books, chemistry books. Some of them could be $300. Books were expensive, so this is high. This is like college book prices for this book about American Indians, and these are the pretendians on the cover. So I said, no. This has to be something wrong with this book. So I said, let me go do a little digging and see if I can find the real book, because I want to see the first edition. This is a later edition. This isn't the first edition. So when I went in to find the first edition, this is what I found. I found this book, History of the North American Indians. In this book right here, you see how this book look? This is authentic. The other book that we just saw, let's put it back up on the screen. And let's just compare the two. You see what I mean, guys? Authentic, inauthentic. Pretendian, authentic. So we're not going to take our history lessons from a pretendian book because you're going to get misled because they said we got to go cover this up. We can't be telling them we was eating Injun eyes and using Injun body parts and studying them and ripping them apart. We can't do that. We can't do that. So we got to hide this real version and get this fake version, which is $250 still, or $200 average. Well, what is in this book right here that you had to change it? Like, why wasn't this good enough? Let's see why. How much do y'all think this book costs? So the other book was $200. How much do you guys think this book costs? How much do you think it costs? This book is crazy. Let's see. You probably say, oh, it probably costs like the first edition, $300, $400, $500. Some books can be $500. I don't know if I really seen books for $500 in college, but I'm imagining they could be that high. But any book that's over $500 has to have real knowledge, real history. So let's see how much this book costs. Let's see. This book costs $6,800. Where is the sound effects on here? I need like a a bomb explosion, or I need something like that's crazy. Like, I need the sound effect because that is crazy. You hijacked the history so bad that you made it $6,800. This is a rare book that tells the truth. So they don't really show you what's in this book, but they did give us a glimpse at it. And I can't really read it, but I'm just going to point out to you one little area of the book that I saw. So this is one of the first pages. Now let's blow this up. All right. It says a history of North American Indians. So we know Injuns is Indians and their customs. So we trying to figure out the Injun eyes. Like, they was eating Injun eyes. Like, this Injun word, where's it coming from? It says observation on the color, shape, temper, and depth. I think it says dress of Indians in America. We're not going to read all of this. I just want to go to one little part. Let's see how big I can blow this up because I really want y'all to see this. All right. It says the Indians are of what color? Copper or red clay color. And they delight in everything. All right. So copper color, that's us. That's us. That's us. And I thought it was something else on here. It's talking about the Indian chieftains, but I don't really want to read it because copyrights, and this is expensive book, so you have to buy it, or we have to find a way to get it ourselves on this community event one day. All right, but you can see copper color, copper tone. That's what they have in this real book. That's what they're talking about. The copper tone. So if you want to screenshot it, you can. And also in this book, they had this map of the North American Indian Territory. This is how the map looked from this time period that they went. This is how they described it. What else is in here? So it says Adairs history meaning. So this is the guy who wrote the book. You see the price right here, $6,800. The real book. $6,800. The pretendian book, $200. This is like buying fake Jordans. Like, I'm from the hood. I'm a dentist, but I'm from the hood. And I've been placed in the hood because of stuff like this. Because of brainwashing. Like, you got to make it through so much to survive, like, coming out of poverty. And then feeling like, dang, my skin is, like, less than, it's, like, worthless. I don't feel like I'm anything. Because these people told me I'm nothing. Like, they talked about white supremacy. And the Indians, it's their land. I'm from Africa. No, motherfuckers. These are the fake Jordans right here to the right. And these are the real Jordans to the left. You see the price? You can't even put Jordans in that category because what? Almost $6,500 more for the real history. This is how bad they don't want you to know who you are. So if you one of those people who like, well, just get over it. It's okay. Time done change. Ain't nothing happening. I need to remind you about Robert Brooks. Okay? But this is why they hide it, because there's stuff in these books that will wake people up and will let you know who you truly are. So let's see what Adair history stands for from this little clip right here they have about this book. This is the real version of the book. Now let's take the fake Jordans away and let's go to some real stuff. Like, we're going to teach real history here, not something that we want to know, and we not believing in other people's stuff no more, because they going to give you that fake Jordan life. They're going to give you the pseudo history, the pseudo life. So Adairs history stands as the first definitive history of the indigenous people of Southeast. The folding map of American Indian nations is notable for its lack of European powers borders. It says Adair was an Irishman who came to trade with the people of whom he wrote, especially the Chickasaw, but also the Cherokee and the Catawba, providing for curious Europe. A true first-hand account of the Native Americans. James believed that the indigenous people of America were in fact the lost tribe of Israel, and the first half of the book lays out his thesis with gusto. Much ink was spilled in refutation in the years to come. The second half reflects on his wide-range experience traveling through the country and accounts for the practices of the people he met. So that's what is in this book, about the people he met, when he came here. All right. But guess what? They like to say the indigenous people all are not here anymore, but they are. And when you hear us talk about Turtle Island, this is Turtle Island. You see, this is what is today North America in the middle. Down here at the bottom is South America and Canada at the top, but we are still here. We haven't left anywhere. But why do you guys think they wouldn't want you to know who you are? Why do y'all think that? Why? Why? Well, let's talk about why. This is why. Because they don't want you to be empowered as a child. If I had known what I know now at this age that we have on the screen here, just think about how empowering that would have made me. I already wanted to be a dentist. I already wanted to be a doctor. Survive that, even through poverty, even through not having my mom, even through not having my dad, even through not having money, working 2 or 3 jobs. But imagine if I had this knowledge. Man, how empowering would I have been? I could have walked in my dental interviews, and instead of crying, I could have felt empowered by being the only melanated person in the interview versus feeling like, dang, I'm less than. You know what I mean? It's empowering. So the reason why they want to switch the names from Injun and Indians is not only to hide the history, but to do genocide on paper. You guys have probably seen this map before. So they did paper genocide 1784 to 1919. And if you never heard of this term, it's just where this is showing the areas where paper genocide or reclassifying Indians to black or mulatto was first practiced by the government offices in the United States, later spreading to all of America. Paper genocide. So they ceded the land over here on the East Coast. All over here they pulled up on the boats, destroyed the villages, and kind of colonized these areas, settled here after many, many massacres. And then it kind of spread it over towards the middle part of America, 1784 to 1804, and then it didn't get out all the way over here until really, really late. This is all supposed to be unceded land, but you'll see where I'm from down here got down here really, really late. All right, so that's what paper genocide is, just erasing the people on paper, saying that you are these people, stealing the land and taking their name and changing their names, like you saw in that Simpson episode. If you didn't know, you would be like watching the episode not thinking of it. Listen, I watch Simpsons now, I'd be like, what the hell? Every episode now, since I've been waking up and reading this stuff, I have to stop and screenshot, because I'm like, I can't believe they saying this. The Simpsons tell the truth. The Simpsons really tell the truth. They really tell the truth. Okay? Let's move right along. You guys, if you have questions, let me know. But if you're just enjoying it, hey. So, what paper genocide does is it erases all of those indigenous people from the map, but just on paper, even though they're still here by changing their name. And a lot of us Indians, Niiji, Indians are still here. We just go by different names like West Indian, which was West India, Jamaican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, African American, Colombian, Haitian, Guyanese. Okay? This is paper genocide. And why does this matter? I pull up this image here. It says Charlie Davenport of Natchez, Mississippi stated, "My pappy had Injun blood." There's that Injun word again. Remember what Injun equals Indian, but his hair was kinky. So that's telling you that listen, I'm going to tell you now, anytime you see Injun, Indian, you're going to see Negro, kinky, black, copper. You're not going to see Native American. You're only going to see Native American later in the pseudo history. Anytime you're talking about the real history, you're going to see Injun, Indian, Negro, all in the same documents, all always around each other because they're trying to, that's the hijack as we call it. Okay? So that's crazy. Right down here. My pappy had Injun blood too, but his hair was kinky. The Choctaw lived in all round Second Creek. So he's talking about the Choctaw living around the creek. Some of them had cabins like settled folks. I can remember day last chief. He was tall, powerful built man named Big Sam. What he said was the law because he was the boss of the whole tribe. All right, I'm not going to read the rest of this, but you get it. We're just trying to talk about the word Injun. Okay, we're going to keep it moving because you can see this is somebody who, it says 241 Charlie Davenport. He was an ex-slave in Adams County. And this is just his story. It's a narrative. Comes from the Mississippi slave narratives. And we know slaves just prisoner of war. Get that term out of your head. Moving right along. So, like I say, any document you see that has Indian is also going to have Negro on the document. So this is a document that talks about Virginia Indians in World War II. And you know, when I did my genealogy, I have uncles, great-great-grandparents who were in World War II, like fighting in the war because they didn't have a choice really. And I always wondered, I was like, why are they fighting in the war? Like, if we're indigenous, like how did they get into this war thing? And this document kind of clarified that for me. So this is who is Indian, who is Negro. Virginia Indians in the World War II draft, right? So it says, who is Indian, who is Negro? How does one decide a person's race? Few Americans have ever had the occasion to ponder deeply these questions. In most cases, the answer is self-evident. A racial label is usually assigned by reference to obvious physical criteria such as skin, color, hair texture, facial features. But in any multiracial society, there are some people who cannot be neatly placed into one of those limited categories, a number of categories. Further, in a society where one's social position depends heavily upon race, resolving questions on racial classification becomes a serious issue. So they made it a serious issue about classifying us as a race because that's the only way that they could overtake us as a people. People of mixed race may attempt to improve their position by changing their racial designation, such an attempt forces government officials to confront them directly, confront the delicate issue of the determination of race. Their decisions have far-reaching consequences, not only for people directly involved, but also for the entire society. During the World War II, a small group of Virginia Indians challenged the prevailing system of racial classification. When called to register for the Selective Service System, they listed their race as Indian, which they were. The local draft board, however, would not accept this claim. So it was up to invaders to say, you're not Indian, you're going to war. That is Crazy to me. So they said, no, you ain't who you say you are, and this is paper genocide, people. When somebody tells you who they are and you tell them they're not that, I gave you a new name. Claim your new name. All right? Like what? I know I stopped reading it, but I had to just stop for a second because I be baffled when I read what they just. How could you do that? It says they recalled that in antebellum days, some of the registrants' ancestors had married free Negroes. Based on the evidence, the boards insisted that the proper classification for all alleged Indians was Negro. How? All right. So yeah, we moving right along. We moving right along. So these Indians are AKA Negroes. Moving right along. This is another one. All Seminole chiefs were Indian Negroes. Okay. It says there's no such thing as a black Seminole oxymoron. Majority of Seminole Indians were always Aboriginal misnomer black people who descended from Muskogee Creeks. See, I told you my people was Muskogee. From the very beginning, they are Seminoles by itself. History is rewritten by colonizers and conquerors. And even Seminoles is a different word. They were Abalachi. They had different names. Even before that still. But like I said, anytime you see Indian chiefs, they gonna be Negro. They're not gonna be Native American. They're gonna be Negro. And that's just a derogatory word, but they're gonna be Indian. The chief's Indian, but they're Negro. You see what I'm saying? You can't get away from one without the other. It says Commissioner 1820, but no American official explained how it happened. If the Negroes were but shadows of the Indians, that so many Seminole chiefs were black. They didn't understand it. They're like, well, if y'all saying that they just shadow and they under the other people, how they the chiefs? You see what I'm saying? It goes back to when we were talking about how we invented all these things, how we were creating engineers, all of these things, agricultural. It was us, chiefs. Something you can't erase. And it's kind of baffling that people could think that they could erase it. But this is what paper genocide is, my Niiji. We gotta wake up. I was asleep just a couple months ago. What is it? January, 2 months ago, I was not this person. And when you start to see what's in your environment and you start to open your eyes, it just comes flooding. Like, that's why I had to take a break because it was so much that I was like, what? I'm thinking I'm going to find a little evidence. It's all the evidence. All right. Let's move right along. So this is the Negro law of South Carolina. They started to make laws. So what they did was they switched it from Injun to Indian to Negro. Okay. And they said, well, y'all Negro, y'all not Indian, so we're going to make laws for Negroes because we control the Negroes. Y'all ain't no Indians. How could you, if you writing the history and I didn't tell you my history, you can't write what you want to write. And that's a lot of what was going on back then. They would just write what they wanted to write, regardless of who was on the land first, regardless of who they saw. They was like, let's get them all gone. This is our land now, and this is our name, and this is what happened. So let's go to the section 3 of chapter 1, the status of the Negro, his rights and disabilities. This is South Carolina now. It says, Indians and descendants of Indians are regarded as free Indians in amity with this government until the contrary be shown. So Indians and descendants of Indians are regarded as free Indians. How could you tell Indians that they free when they already was free? Let's stop right there. Oh. Okay. See, I be getting sidetracked and it kind of a little pissed off, but you can't get pissed off because knowledge is power. Just keep learning. In the second proviso of section 1 of the Act of the Act of 1710, it is declared that every Negro, see how it's always a Negro, it's Negro, his rights and disabilities, but down here it's Indian. It's the same thing. This is the paper genocide because they got to link them together. They have to link them because they go together. Because if you're changing one thing and erasing it, you got to have something on the other side. It's just like when you do math, like when you do equation, 1 + 1 = 2. How did you get that 2? You had to go back to the beginning. You have to go back to those 2 ones that you started with. You can't just have a 2 from nowhere. It came from that 1 + that 1, you know. So it said it is declared that every Negro, because it said the status of the Negro, his rights and disabilities, Indian, mulatto, they wanted to put it all in one big bucket and make it all Indian. And mestizo is a slave. How? This is the law, the Negro law, that they are slaves unless the contrary can be made to appear, yet the same. Like, okay, I think y'all get the picture. We ain't gonna even hone in on that document too long because I got some stuff to get through. All right. Another document. This is a document about Canada. So you remember Turtle Island is this whole map, right? So this spread it all over. Different people were coming over trying to control the land. This up here is Canada now. There were none of these imaginary lines that you see on the map now. It's all together. All right. So change that part of your mindset to see this indigenous Turtle Island as this versus how you see it. So now we're talking about Canada because the history is all over. I think somebody said it best. They said Americans, and what I would venture to say, the true Indians, aka African Americans, aka Niiji, aka all these names from the paper genocide. The true Niiji, they were all over. They were all over, and it shows. Even the history from Europe, the history from everywhere shows that we were everywhere. Everywhere. All right. So let's dive into this document because I think it's very important to understand how far and widespread this affected a lot of people. So this is the Indian Act. This is in Canada now. Canada. I'm just getting my little cursor together. But we're going to go to what they have underlined in here. All right, there we go. There we go. The Indian Act. It says before 1951, status Indians were not deemed to be people under the laws of Canada. So they didn't even consider the true Indians people. Therefore, they were denied certain rights that other Canadians enjoyed. Status Indians could only be persons by voluntary enfranchisement, by relinquishing their Indian status. Only then would they be allowed to vote on property or have the rights of other Canadian citizens. That's crazy, right? So to piggyback off of that, you can imagine in what is now North America, what they did. They didn't even give them a choice. We just read that the people told them that they was actually Indian and they didn't want to go to war and fight, and they still made them colored, Negro, because they forced them to go to war, forced them to fight, forced them to change out of their attire, forced them to pick up a new language, forced them to take on Christianity. And we ain't gonna get into Christianity in this video because that's a whole nother topic. But you can see here what they did. You can see what they did on this map. Like, how does that make y'all feel? Like how do you feel about that? Let me know. But moving right along, this is another one, the Thomasina Jordan Act, from Indians to Negroes. It said just like that. The Virginia Vital Statistics Bureau class all non-reservation Indians as Negro. Anytime you see Indian, you're going to see Negro. You're going to see these two together. That's it. Okay? That's it. Just get used to seeing it when you're studying. This is another one, the Massacre of Indians. Colonel Baker's attack on an Indian village, men, women, and children, slaughtered 90 women and girls. That's crazy. So when you talk about why a group of people would want to change the name and the history, for several reasons. Because number one, it's an embarrassing history to have slaughtered people, committed massacres, bombed people, made up pseudo history. So you don't want them to find out that you're talking about them, because these are plaques of pride that they put across Turtle Island, of pride. Like, yeah, we did it. Yes. When it should be an act of embarrassment to have done this just to claim land. You know what I mean? But this is why you need to know. You need to know, guys. So now we get to this word. This is where we are now. So we started from Injun, Indian, then we got to Negro, colored, and then now we at African American. Now, did y'all see any African American in anything that we just discussed? They always had the Negroes as Indian. So this term is so late. It says African American is a federal government term describing property, not a race of people. Because if you go dig deep, African American, it doesn't belong to a people. African American, you can't be both. This word is made up. That word is made up. You're not that. Property has no race classification. Property has no human rights. And they put an example. Trayvon Martin was considered property owned by the United States, which is a corporation, and he had no human rights. A recent case, Robert Brooks. Property. To know that people were able to do something that they've been doing since they pulled up on the coastline, still to this day, and not have no repercussions for it. It's sickening. It's fucking sickening. Okay? And I mean that. Like, it's sickening to me. It says in 2010, a so-called African American black discovered that his family bloodline was type O, like many dark people living in Memphis, and his family descended from Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas regions, which is the historic homeland to hundreds of thousands, millions of dark-skinned, all of us, copper-tone people, who the Spanish invaders called Indians, Indios, Injuns. Unfortunately, because they were dark Indians, the U.S. legally, how you legally classify, it says legally, unlawfully, classified each as a Negro. So it says legally because they wrote this law down, they made this law up. Unlawfully because it's just not lawful to do something like that. It's just not lawful. So if you around here proud to be African American, black, this is what you proud to be. A no classification, no human rights person. 3 months ago, I was a proud African American. I wouldn't say proud because I was kind of awakening myself and getting a lot of information from my loved one and my fiance, but like this is what they're talking about. So that's why this topic is so important. This is why we're talking about this word, so we can be aware, because it's all around you. Okay? Now, moving along. Let's move along. Indians listed as colored. This is another document. Massachusetts Indians enfranchised. You see that word enfranchised in the 1800s. That means they took your franchise away. You ever hear McDonald's how they got franchise? How you can go and open up your business off of the original name. How you can start something off of your ancestors' credit and their history. Not even their credit, but I mean their credibility. Because they laid out the map for you. They enfranchised all of that. When they took the Indian word, they took the land, they took everything. Enfranchise. It says, an act to enfranchise the Indians of the Commonwealth, be it enacted as follows. Section 1. All Indians and people of color heretofore known and called Indians within the Commonwealth are hereby made and declared to be citizens of the Commonwealth and entitled to all the rights, privileges, and immunities, and subject to all duties and liabilities to which citizens of this Commonwealth are entitled and subject. All lands heretofore known as Indian lands and rightfully held by any Indian in it says servility, and all such lands which have been and may be set off to any Indian shall be and become the property of such person and his says fee, provided that such land shall not be held to be taken upon attachment and execution for any debt, liability, and passage of this act. Indians shall hereafter have the same rights as other citizens to take, hold, and convey and transmit real estate. So they enfranchised it by making you a citizen. You know, it was so easy. Now let's get into this comment that I found, because I be finding some comments on the internet like people know. People know. So you check out the comments, because people be talking. They be talking in the internet streets, and I'm going to find the comments. If you find them, let me know. Okay, my Niiji? They say there's plenty of evidence that the Americas was a diverse place prior to European conquest and colonialism. Look around the rest of the world. And this is where a lot of these pictures and facts that people are finding are coming from museums and places from the rest of the world, because you got to think, history here was banned. They banned history here. They didn't want it to be taught. They banned the books. They still trying to ban books, ban history. They still won't teach African American. They won't even teach African American history, let alone the real history. They won't even teach the pretending black history, let alone, you think they're gonna teach you about you being an Injun, an Indian, sovereign, indigenous, Niiji? No, not happening. They still banning it right now as we speak. See, I be getting sidetracked. All right, so look around the rest of the world and it wouldn't be hard to accept. In the Philippines, where I am from, it was always told to me, so this is the Philippines, the original people are the black indigenous people who live in the mountains. Although there are many indigenous groups in the Philippines, they are diverse, as well as Malay, Chinese, Japanese, and have been settled there for thousands and hundreds of years. However, there were people already there in the Philippines who had arrived long before, and guess what? They were what we think of black, brown in coloring, with features that we attribute to Africans, and their descendants are still there, called the Eight and Negritos. This is Philippines now. In fact, you will see these Austronesian people throughout all the islands of the Pacific. I also see this kind of ancient history in Ireland, England, India, China, Japan, Southeast Asian countries, countries in the Pacific Islands, and what do you have? Turtle Island, the America. That's us, boo boo. Put us on the map. What's up? Let's go. Okay. It says, simply put, black people spread over this whole earth. Numero uno. In case you don't speak English. I wish I knew my own language, but that was disenfranchised. Okay. Almost make you want to cry sometime. Simply put, black people spread over this whole earth first, and then others spread around, creating additional mixtures. I don't see why people have to be so angry about it. Well, let me tell you why people are angry. Robert Brooks. Okay. So this is, I'm a Florida State Seminole. I went to Florida State University. And when I was going to that school, I tell y'all this, I didn't know that this was what a Seminole looked like. I thought it was the other Indians. I didn't know that it was, melanin, chocolate, copper tone. So this is what, so when you see the word Indian and Injun, pay attention, guys. That was the whole moral of this video. And I hope that it hit you home. So when you watching things like The Simpsons, or you're watching things in cartoon forms and they trying to do the little code word about eating us, I need you to be aware what you're watching, because now I watch things with a different eye, and this is just 2 to 3 months of me fully being like in my Niiji identity, motherfucking apologetically too. Don't be apologetic about it. This is our history. Like, it's not that people have to be mad, but we want the truth. Like, the truth needs to be televised, publicized, all over. Like, we can't live like this forever. The truth or nothing. Okay? It's the truth versus everybody. I need a shirt. The truth versus everybody. All right, so get used to seeing this is an Indian, not the pretendians. Now, before we wrap this up, I'm going to show you this image, and this is an image will help people realize what they did, because you see, some people have a disconnect when they see the Indians, who they think are Indians, the pretendians, and then they see the images of us in our tribal wear, and they're like, well, how do we get out of our clothes? Well, they made it illegal to use your indigenous language. It was illegal. It was illegal to read those books. Whatever they were writing about us, we couldn't read it. They made it, we couldn't read it. We probably didn't want to read it. Honestly, they just kept writing. They made it illegal to put on your chief and chiefess attire. They locked them up for petty crimes, kill, all these things. You already know what they did. We already talked a lot about it, but I found this image, and then this is what we're going to end this theory of knowledge class with today. I found this image, and when I first found this image, it made me cry. It really made me cry because it hits home at how they play in your face and the things that they did to the chiefs. They pulled up on the village, found the chief. In every document, they're going to be like, where's the chief? Where's the kakai? Where's your leader? Where's your king? Where is he? We want to kill him. We want to demoralize him. We want to make him feel like nothing. We want to colonize him and make him nothing so that all the people will follow. Because they know if you did that to the chief, the person who calling out the shots, then we don't have a chance. So this is what I found. Screenshot it if you can. I don't know how long it's going to be up, but this is what I found. This right here. You see at the top, it says Indian. Remember I told you, anytime you see Indian, Aboriginal, Indigenous, you're going to see what? Something related to us. This says Indian coon song. Yeah. And this right here was a chief. And you can see he's in court, right? And they're taking off what? His headdress. They're taking it off. Said, you can't wear that. We finna lock you up for doing that. You can't wear this with the animal feathers on it. You can't have this on. So when you see this, this is what happened when you finally realize they didn't want you to even look like yourself. They took these clothes off, gave them plain clothes, so you could not identify with yourself. You cannot identify with your spirit. You feel like you are worthless. You feel like you are nothing. You go through life thinking that you got to fight so hard when this thing was already yours. It's a trick, guys. It's a trick, my Niiji. It is a trick. And we not being tricked no more. You will not be tricked no more. I'm telling you, you will not be tricked no more. Knowing what you know now, knowing what they did, let's blow this up. They're embarrassing him. This is an embarrassing picture, but you can learn so much from these things that they thought would be embarrassing and writing it down and putting it into history. Look at this. They took off his headrest. And not only that, there's a song that they made. Let me tell you why they brought him to court, took off his headrest. They made a song about it. So let's go to the song, let's go to the song. I'm just gonna read a couple lines because we don't know how long. Like I showed you, the real history costs $8,000, so it ain't never meant for you to see it. But we're gonna see it today. We're gonna see what they said in this song. All right. Let's see what they said. It says, and this isn't the whole one, I just got a little bit of it, but see down there, his name is Chickapoo Chief. All right, this is probably a name that they just made up. So it says, me, you see the king of my race, my Indian name is Rainin, the face. When I found that bird, he was sure enough dead. I was going to pluck the feathers just to wear them on my head. Don't be absurd. Can't you take my word? I'm a great big Chickapoo chief. A great big Chickapoo. So you can see from this, he was trying to plead with them and tell them, hey man, like, why y'all locking me up? The bird was dead. We been doing this before you came over here. Like, this is how we, get our headdress. This is how we return the animals and make their the feathers useful. They go back into the earth. We just, this is for the environment, really. Like, why are you taking my stuff off? Like, you around here unaliving people, villages, and you worrying about a bird's feathers? Make it make sense, guys. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. And that was my final point home. For people who were wondering how we got out of this identity, the things that they put in place, the police system, the courts, the judges, the laws, the rules, this law, that law, every law against you, every state got a law, everything. Listen, if you alive today and well, and you are waking up and you are realizing who you are, like, be so grateful for yourself. Be grateful that you are a part of this, because it's not easy, because there's so many things meant to keep you sleep, meant to keep you just stuck in the matrix and not knowing who you are. And I see a lot of people asking me, well, did you do your DNA? I have not done the DNA because I don't trust the DNA. As you can see, a lot of the things here you cannot trust just because something looks right. You really got to be careful. So what I did my genealogy, and you'll see all of the documents that we're finding are from the 1800s, the 1700s. My people was here. From every line on my tree, my people were here. Cherokee, Choctaw, Muskogee. I'm sure your people were here too. Now, for the people like, we from Africa. Maybe you are from Africa. I don't really know. I'm not. And nothing, some people are, but we got to know where we are for real. I don't want to be like, oh, well, I'm from here and I'm really not from there. That's like, so, like, I don't even know what the word I'm trying to find. But if I know I'm not from somewhere, why would I keep claiming it? So this is 10 free websites. They probably change, but I use ancestry.com, which isn't on here. But this is how you can begin to find out where your people are from. Start here. Start building your family tree. This is step one. The first thing that I did along this journey, and I started this family tree process probably a year ago, way before I really woke up, because I kept hearing like so much static in the air. Everybody's talking about waking up and we've been lied to. And I'm like, well, we ain't from Africa. I was confused, y'all. So I went and did my genealogy, and it was true. My people were here. So this is where you start. Don't do the DNA, do the genealogy if you can do this step, and it will definitely change your entire life. All right? All right. So yeah, this has been Dr. Shon's theory of knowledge. What is an engine? I hope that it helped you get some of those terms into your vocabulary and really try to pay attention to it when you're watching cartoons, when you're even doing the little simplest things that you think are innocent. You have your kids watching this. This is what propaganda is putting things in your sight that you don't really know what it means, or you wouldn't even pay attention to it, but it means a lot, you know. So pay attention. Thank you all for subscribing to my channel. It took me a minute to create this video because I didn't know how I was going to organize all of my thoughts, and I have so much information, and when you're learning so much, you can start to get so much information. But my thing is just focus on one piece of the pie at a time, because there's a huge pie of information once you come into your true identity, and it can get to be overwhelming. You're listening to everybody and everybody got an opinion. Know you, do you for you. So that's why even now I don't take everybody advice about who I am and what I'm. No. I have to know for myself and show myself approved. So this is where you get started. This is Dr. Shon, the motivational dentist, and yeah, thank you guys for joining me. And I'm out. And in the next class, I have a lot of information. It's gonna be like a sciencey type class. I have to put it together, but we're gonna be talking about melanin from a dentist's point of view, and it's gonna go deep, like, you know. So yeah, thank you guys for subscribing and joining me on this journey. I love you all and I appreciate you all, and we are in this together. You are not alone. No matter where you are not alone. If you're feeling a little lost, you are not alone. If you're feeling confused and you didn't know, you are not alone. If you a seasoned vet and you been through this, you still ain't alone. So each one teach one. And if people call you crazy, all this stuff because you are waking up, hey, you ain't alone. All right. So this is Dr. Shon, and I'm out, guys. I will see you in the next video.